We are not quite in Gilead territory yet, but there is no doubt it's getting harder to have a baby in the UK. Social trends and economic pressures mean many delay parenthood until their natural fertility has declined, just as a cash-strapped NHS implements new limits on IVF. Since the start of the year, 13 areas of England have restricted or completely halted treatments, with a further 8 consulting on taking similar steps. It is in this context that the number of UK babies born to surrogates leapt from 117 in 2011 to 331 in 2015. The figure for 2016 is predicted to top 400, with many couples pursuing costly arrangements abroad. Data in 2015 showed a total of 57 destinations, and many more either considering surrogacy or making the kinds of informal arrangements that don't show up in statistics. Is it any wonder, then, that 2 of the best TV dramas of the year so far are all about other women's wombs? The Handmaid's Tale, which came to an end on Channel 4 last month, and Top of the Lake China Girl, also starring Elizabeth Moss and currently airing on BBC Two. One takes place in a future dystopian US, the other in contemporary Sydney, but both conceive of a world where infertility is the scourge of the privileged and surrogacy is the far from simple cure. Making babies in unconventional ways used to be a lot more fun. It was a light-hearted storyline for Friends when Phoebe had triplets as a favor to her estranged half-brother, and Manhattanites Monica and Chandler got mixed up with a ditzy pregnant teen from the Midwest. The New Normal was an entire surrogacy-themed sitcom, airing from 2012 to 2013 on NBC and, in India, where commercial surrogacy was made legal in 2002, though legislation is currently on the table to prohibit it. The topic has long been popular in soap operas. Watch a trailer for Top of the Lake China Girl. However, those with on-the-ground experience have argued against too rosy a depiction of this multi-million-dollar industry. In 2012, gynecologist Suman Bilani shared with the Times of India her concern that soaps portray these procedures as almost frivolous and therefore result in unrealistic expectations. In the US, where commercial surrogacy is legal in some states, former pediatric nurse Jennifer Lowell founded San Francisco's Center for Bioethics and Culture in part to expose the myth that surrogacy is as charitable an endeavor as many think it is. In fact, it leaves countless exploited women in its wake. We meet several such exploited women in Top of the Lake China Girl, Thai sex workers living in Sydney and acting as illegal surrogates to wealthy Australian couples. There must be something in the water, because stories of childlessness abound on screen and off. Detective Robin Griffin Moss confides her 3 miscarriages to a friend who suggests it is nature trying to tell you something, while her own natural child is the now teenage Mary, played by 22-year-old Alice Inglet, the real-life daughter of TOTL's writer-director Jane Campion. Mary has been adopted by the infertile Julia, played by Nicole Kidman, who had a child via surrogate in 2010. Kidman told an interviewer that these parallels had been discussed at the outset. Jane said to me, "Would this be a difficult place for you to go in terms of what the theme of this is?" And I said no, because my story seemed very different. Mine was agreed upon, and it was a beautiful thing that a woman chose to give us. It was an incredible gift she made. TOTL's implicit equation of surrogacy and prostitution is potentially controversial, but it's very much in keeping with TV's new awareness of the global politics of fertility. In the economies of Western cities like Sydney, both industries involve the individual woman's choice to commercialize her body, which, given her financial need, is often no choice at all. The show's images of young women waiting out their 40 weeks in the tense boredom of dormitory-style rooms are also reminiscent of House of Surrogates, a 2013 BBC4 documentary about the Akanksha infertility clinic in small-town India, patronized mostly by couples from the UK, the US and Canada, and run by the glamorous matriarch meets entrepreneur, Dr. Naina Patel. "I knew when I first visited that viewers would have impulsive reactions," says Matt Rudge, the doc's British producer-director. "But what I knew the film would do, is slowly take viewers deeper, to meet those involved, so that their presumptions would ultimately be turned on the head." Indeed, Anand surrogates receive an all-round care package that includes advice and coaching from Dr. Patel herself, and the film also shows the life-changing potential of the money they make: £40 a month and £4,000 on delivery. Motherload. Nicole Kidman as Julia in Top of the Lake China Girl. Photograph Sally Bonga. BBC's Ace or Yet House of Surrogates depiction of a vast global wealth gap, as well as the careless way the bonds of baby and birth mother are severed, remains upsetting. Rudge believes that our culture's fascination with surrogacy has less to do with the sci-fi strangeness of the procedure, and more to do with the emotions involved. hope, disappointment, separation, love, loss, family. In that sense, it's a story that goes to the heart of being human. The themes are universal. Indeed, sterility is often used as a metaphor for the kind of imminent environmental disaster that really should concern us all. That's the case in The Handmaid's Tale, where the rise of the new totalitarian state was precipitated by a falling birth rate linked to pollution, but it was also a theme in Lost, the Channel 4 series Utopia, and the 2006 movie Children of Men. We ignore the ticking of Mother Nature's own biological clock at our peril, because when time runs out for her, there's no IVF specialist on the planet that can save us. The new dramas, though, are less concerned with infertility's environmental causes than its emotional consequences. They specialize in a kind of female-specific body horror. Think the mewling fetuses in TOTL's dream sequences, or Oftlin waking up with a bandaged crotch in The Handmaid's Tale. That makes a huge global injustice feel deeply personal. Just how personal Alice Inglet says her wincingly accurate portrayal of the cruelty teens can inflict on the parents and vice versa was not based on true events. Gratefully, the relationship on screen is not our relationship. She also describes her co-stars Moss and Kidman as a very cool posse of mums, yet TOTL's on-screen depiction of motherhood is much more fraught than this easygoing on-set atmosphere. In made-for-TV melodramas such as The Surrogacy Trap 2013 and A Deadly Adoption 2015, or Hollywood comedies like Baby Mama 2008, it was the surrogates who were the problem, either too trashy or too psychotic to be accepted into the modern, proudly non-conformist family unit. Now, it's the commissioning parent, and particularly the mother, who is looked at askance. When, in Top of the Lake, a woman is found wandering barefoot, screaming for a lost child that never existed, her husband says it's simple, she'd be okay if she could just have a baby, it would make her sane. It's the same kind of insanity-provoking desperation that drives much of Serena Joy's cruel behavior in The Handmaid's Tale, and that arguably underpins the entire Gilead regime. Born Unlucky, short-lived surrogate-themed TV series The New Normal. Photograph NBC. Getty. What prevents the best of these dramas from slipping into an insensitive stereotype of the barren woman is a perspective that's not just female, but a specific kind of female. In Bodies, a new play by Vivian Franzman, which finishes its first run at London's Royal Court Theatre today, Clem pays £22,000 to have a Russian woman's egg implanted in an Indian woman's womb. The baby is very much yearned for, but Clem's guilt and estrangement from her disapproving socialist dad take their toll. Franzman told The Stage she wanted to tackle the degree to which white, middle-class women are complicit in the oppression of women with less privilege and power. As a white, middle-class woman, that felt confronting in a good way. If that statement sounds close to something TOTL's philosopher Pimp Puss might come up with, that's no accident. Campion's drama also seems interested in the extent to which white feminist guilt is useful or merely indulgent. I was fascinated by the issues of fairness and entitlement explored in the show, and all the hypocrisies and contrariness of the characters, says Inglet. I don't know, more questions. Too entitlement is havoc for all, is the only opinion that currently comes to mind, but that I mean generally. I don't have any definitive feelings on surrogacy. It'd be out of my depth if I tried to comment. Top of the Lake China Girl invites such deep dives, though. And from within its subaqueous gloom shines the hopeful light of an extraordinary, intergenerational collaboration. I do think it is our close knowledge of each other that created what we did with Mary, adds Inglet. Mum and I knew we could do something weird, and with love, together. Top of the Lake continues the 17th of August, 9 p.m, BBC Two, and is available in full on BBC iPlayer.